it's 10 degrees cooler than Glacier.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Athabasca Glacier. And there's Dome Glacier. There is Mount Athabasca. Next, Mount Andromeda. And this Athabasca Glacier, where we will be. The parkway was constructed in 1919 Wheeler survey crew исследование. Not only traveled to Columbia icefield, they also carried heavy survey and camera gear to the summits of most of the peaks you see around you. They carried sacks of concrete for cairns to the mountains past where the boundary between Alberta and British Columbia was permanent.
And if you do have a water bottle with you today, I recommend tipping that water out when you hop off this bus. You can fill it up with that nice, beautiful refreshment I left there to get away from the Australians, and there's more here. It's a lot easier to track it down this way. What does she want me? When you hop off the bus, just
Два видела? Два, а тот вон сзади, там между Гарбичем и, а вот этот вот идет, а этот идет. Идет к нам, иди. Come on, come to us. Yeah. Now. Wow, she likes to eat.
it's a sheep, Sheep?
Sheep.
Bighorn sheep.
Bighorn. Oh, no, it's fine.
That's right.
А второй... Надюша, а помнишь, мы целое стадо? Да. И не могут, смотри, не боятся. Смотри.
You know what the big ones will do once in a while? If they're licking salt and you're driving your car, okay, and they're in the middle of the road because the lines are grooved, so the water sits in there longer and the minerals, they might sit there and not move at all. And sometimes they see their reflection of themselves in your silver bumper and they ram it.
Oh.
Sorry? I have a class 1, I can drive anything, but I can't drive it.
Я говорю, она вызвала второго. А потому что освободиться. А у нее...
side with the red latches, flip those up, push the bottom of the window out. There are 2 emergency roof hatches in the middle. To open those, twist the red knob 90 degrees, push open the knob, both, whole thing opens up. We'll only use these in a very unlikely event of an emergency, and trust me, I'll tell you if there's an emergency.
Сейчас мы поедем этой дорогой вверх.
Alrighty. Oh, welcome on board, folks. You can see out the top 2 windows there, then you can see blue sky. I think that's about it. You'll be able to see some stuff out those windows at some point. What's wild to think about, right? But these things have a maximum flat speed of about 20 kilometers an hour. Downhill, depending on the slope and how much attention I'm paying, 25. But there we go. We'll get out there. We'll get out there. We'll have a great time, and you will get all the time that you deserve on the ice, folks. I'll make sure that happens because it was no fault of your own that we didn't get out there on time. But where did we come? Are we a one tour group here today? Yeah, cool. Where did we come from this morning?
This morning?
Yeah.
We came from Banff.
From Banff, wonderful. Where do you at this time? Alright, let me teach you something new, folks. If there's one thing you learn today, it'll be this sheet or lake of ice that sits on above the mountain plateaus in front of us. Alright, so it's coming into view on the right hand side now at about 1 o'clock. If you can see it out the windows, we'll catch a view of it at some point. There we go. So this is the glacier in front of us, and right up the top is the ice field itself. Maybe now might be the time to use all this window up here. Now glacial ice is very different to the ice in your freezer, folks. The ice in your freezer is frozen water. It's about 50% air. Glacial ice is compressed snow, which is about 10% air. Alright, so it's very, very different. How does it happen? How does it come here, right? On the ice field, the average annual temperature is -3 degrees Celsius, or about 25 degrees Fahrenheit. This means that when snow falls, it accumulates instead of melting. As it accumulates, as it builds up, it compresses the bottom layers of snow. As that happens, the snow changes structure. All the air is compressed out of it, it turns into something called firn, and eventually hardens into glacial ice. This process takes about 5 years. Alright, so that's why the glaciers are slowly receding, because we're not getting enough ice because of the warmer climates in the summer. This process is called firnification, alright? Not fornication, that's a different kind of compression. As the firnification occurs though, the ice overflows, gravity grabs that ice and pulls it kicking and screaming down through the valleys. So we have all this rubble around us. As the ice moves down through the valley, it actually grinds up on the mountain and breaks the rock into tiny pieces, like the rubble that we see around us here. And as it moves, it pushes this rubble into piles. These piles are called moraines. Moraine's a French word that translates to giant pile of dirt, rock and dust. If we look to the right, we can see a slope of debris on that far side. That is a lateral or side moraine. This that we are on right now is the other lateral moraine. These moraines tell us how big the glacier was. Once upon a time, at least 10,000 years ago, this glacier was 1.2 kilometers, 3/4 of a mile across, and about at least 600 meters or half a mile deep. This was a thick, with 3 C's piece of ice. Again, that was during the last glacial maximum, 10 to 18,000 years ago. Now, it's considerably smaller, but it has left behind this, my favorite part of the tour. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the world's slowest roller coaster.
We're going down, but...
Oh, you bet. And it's North America's steepest commercially used unpaved road. If you don't like roller coasters and need a distraction, have a look out to the left into what we call Asteroid Alley. And you might see some little rock slides or boulders flying down the cliff. so much quieter now.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All I was trying to do was demist the windows, and it didn't even do that. So, goodness. No one screamed as well. I'm very proud of you for that. Thank you. Now, if you like numbers and stats on roads, folks, I got numbers and stats on that road for you. That road has a gradient of 33%, which means that for every 100 meters we go forward, we go down 33 meters. To put that into context, the steepest residential streets in the world have a gradient of 34 or 35%. Alright, and a steep highway road may have signs warning of a 6 or 8% grade. So 33% is not bad. Now, the ice to the right of us. This is it, folks. This is the glacier itself. You're actually on the glacier right now. It may not look like it, but this is a pile of dirt, rock, and dust, that moraine, that covers more glacial ice. The debris from the mountain over the years has fallen onto the glacier and covered it and insulated it, essentially kind of keeping it cold. If we look to our right, we can actually see inside these little hills here, or inside these mounds of dirt I should say, we can see some glacial ice poking through, and a good example of what we call the ice core moraine. Look into our right now. There you go, you can see those bits of ice sticking out front. They have very, very deep blue ice. Right? Just like the deep blue sea, only the deep blue ice. Kind of cool under there, isn't it?
So the ice is still moving with the rocks on top, the rocks are moving.
Yes, absolutely. Yep, so yeah, the question was, was the ice still moving? Are the rocks on top still moving as well? They absolutely are. Yeah, the whole thing is essentially one big moving flow of like, it's essentially a flowing block of ice, so whatever is on top will move as well. Now they don't move much. It's about less than 2 inches a day, which is less than 5 centimeters every day. But it is slowly moving, and if you come back in a month, mind you, I don't notice it because things get moved around all the time, but it is a very dynamic landscape around here. Now that little puddle that we just drove through, good thing we have an all-terrain vehicle, right? That little puddle there is not, it's not a paddling pool, although it does get too hot. I will go for a swim at some point, probably. No, that there is actually, it's a very special thing. It's one of a kind. It's patent pending still. That's our tire wash, folks. Seriously though, it is. But we wash our tires to try and keep the ice road clean. Alright, try being the opposite of word. There's a thing called the albedo effect, and the effect of the name itself may not mean anything. I didn't know what the name was when I started here, but you've felt the effect before. If you have worn a black t-shirt on a hot sunny day, or maybe you've got black leather seats in your car, and when the sun hits those seats or hits that t-shirt, it warms up, right? Same thing happens with the glacier. Or any dirt, dust, any darker color material on the glacier absorbs light and therefore heat, whereas lighter colors reflect light. So the white ice will reflect this light and not actually melt as fast, whereas any of the darker colors does absorb that heat a little bit more. Now the dust that we see around us comes from the mountains themselves around here. It also comes from, well, the forest fires and from the air. So we've had a lot of forest fires around BC, northern Alberta, every summer, and we have a very unique location here in the mountains. We do not have any major mountain ranges to the west of us that shelter us here. So when storm systems come through from the Pacific Ocean, they bring everything with them. In the winter, this means lots of snow. About at least 10 meters or 45 feet of snow every year come through here. But in the summer, when we have lots of forest fires, it brings lots of ash, dust, debris, all that kind of stuff out here as well. Now, someone's going to ask me, so I'll tell you now. We can see these people on our right-hand side walking around here. They've all got ropes, they've all got crampons, they've all got very specialized safety equipment. Alright, and if you're going to walk on the glacier without us, that's what we recommend. Because you get all kinds of things out there, mill wells, which are large holes, crevassing, which are cracks, that can be kind of dangerous. In fact, I like to Each of you have 12 minutes to get out here, which is not too bad. So, while you're out here, folks, I ask that you stay in front of the buses, alright? In front.
Голубое, very slippery. Так, ой, нормально. Можно идти.
I can see the ice from the years.
On the back, sit.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, make it. Oops, was you? I make it like.
That's okay, I'll figure it out.
I don't know.
That's okay, I'll get it. I got it.
Up there.
Yeah,
Саня еще тебе сделают сюда. Так же самое. Подожди. Давай. Давай. На. Все, продолжай. Ну так я... Ну ты уже нажала.
Да, я уже нажала.
Ну давай. Иди до колес. Иди до колес. Колесами. Вот это колесо. Ничего себе. А там орел, да. Сейчас я тебе покажу. Еще там орел. Вон орла же, надо тебе это показать. Да, орел. Вон он. Все. Спасибо.
Years old. And why is the ice blue? The ice is blue because we actually get our staff, we have people that work overnight to paint it blue every night for when you come out here. No, there's a great story about Lake Louise I might tell you later on, but actually Aaron might tell you that one, so I might not steal it from him. But the ice is blue because of the density of the ice. Right, so because of how dense it is, it takes a light a lot longer to refract around it and come back to our eyes, which is why it looks blue. And one of the most popular questions, how do you get the name Tex? You're from New Zealand, it makes no sense. Well, there's a short story and a long story. The short story is, my last name is Hold'em, and I'm a big fan of poker. About another 20 minutes north of here, and that's it. Otherwise, it's just, I see the same people every day, which like they're good people.
Looping 4529 with 41.
Now there are 24 of these in the world, 22 of them are still here, 2 of them are in Antarctica. One of them is owned by the American military. And when the Americans bought theirs, they decided to rename their vehicle to give it a personality, right? So they took that name, the Terrabus, and they called it Ivan. The toe of the glacier, that one is fairly new. It's only been around about 10 years. And it's come about as the glacier has receded. As it's melted away, it's left behind a hollow at the bottom there, which is filled up with the meltwater. Now the one further away, Shinwapta Lake, is actually disappearing because it's filling up with rock flour, with the sediment. So it's in about 10-15 years, it won't be there anymore, or so the estimates go. Temperatures get as low as minus 70 degrees Celsius. Yeah, I hear all the Australians going, absolutely not. So yeah, it gets very, very cold. We also get, again, so much snow that you can barely operate anything. So May through October is our season. Hey, have a look out to our left quickly. That's Jacob. Jacob's one of our other Kiwi drivers. It's his first season in Canada. He moved to Canada for this job. You may not have been able to see his cowboy hat that he's wearing. Anybody been to the Calgary Stampede, or do you know all the Calgary Stampede? Yeah. But look, a lot of our staff here,
We call those katabatic winds. In winter, but the rest of the water will stay unfrozen for the season. That's that yellow thing. It's a very nice view out to the left if anyone wants.
That big pile of snow on the top of that rock. 600 feet, you would look up to the top. Okay? So
the snow 600 feet.
the snow depth is on that ice on the Columbia ice field. Okay? Has anyone looked at the water here? Anyone notice anything?
Yeah.
It's flowing with us now, not against us. We crossed over the Intercontinental Divide. Okay? And remember, it goes three ways. Guess where this water ends up? Any guess? The Arctic Ocean. Yep, the Arctic Ocean. They say that when it leaves here, it takes 2 weeks to get there. Into the Athabasca River, which is the river that we're going to talk about while we're in Jasper. And the river that you're going to go river flow. Walk's coming on your left-hand side. For those of you that don't like heights, don't look. It has a glass bottom. And if you see people sitting down doing weird things, it's because they make great photos. Have a look. Skywalk, left-hand side. Valley.
Wow.
The ones that are dare enough to do it. Yes. And I think feel the bus slowing down.